It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here, and as we go to press, big news. Finally, the Windows 11 subsystem for Android is shipping. In fact, before this show is over, Paul Thurrott will install the Android Kindle app on his Windows 11 machine. He'll explain how you can do the same. Mary Jo Foley makes a call to the Pentagon. You won't believe what happened next. And VS Code for the web. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 747. Recorded Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. We need more October. Windows Weekly is brought to you by ESET. Nobody wants their organization to be patient zero in a cyber attack. Right now, ESET Protect Complete is 20% off, and you can try it before you buy it. Get your free ESET business trial and an interactive demo at business.eset.com/twit. And by Worldwide Technology, a platinum IBM business partner. With an innovative culture, thousands of IT engineers, application developers, unmatched labs and integration centers for testing and deploying technology at scale, WWT helps customers bridge the gap between strategy and execution. To learn more about WWT, visit wwt.com/twit. And by Barracuda. Every 11 seconds, there's a new ransomware attack costing companies millions of dollars. Barracuda says, don't pay the ransom. Build your ransomware protection plan right now. Go to barracuda.com/Windows. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we get together with Paul and Mary Jo and talk about Windows every week and Microsoft and all that other stuff. Hello, Paul. Thurrott.com. Hello. Mary Jo Foley, good to see you.
Thanks. Same
Already,
here.
the chat room has a query. Were either of you able to get through the miasma of Google's servers and buy a Pixel 6?
Mary Jo and I had a bonding moment of pain and frustration yesterday. But yes, we both.
All our hosts did. I'm sitting there pressing, refresh. And,
I literally spent 2 hours and 39 minutes trying to make this purchase. Yeah. 2 hours and 39 minutes.
Well, then both Andy Anako and Jeff Jarvis went, sold out.
Except it wasn't.
Except it was a lie. A dirty lie.
That's why Mary Jo came to me and said, I've been trying this thing for whatever amount of time. It's sold out. I'm like, no, try again. Because I found the same thing.
Because you would think Google would have the server capacity to handle. They only made 7 million of these. I mean,
they make the internet.
They invented the internet for crying out loud. It's a very strange problem to have.
No, and it wasn't just sold out. Like I got my order through, and then it canceled itself, and then my bank called me. My bank called me because they're like, we think someone's charging phones on your account because it looks like multiple phones are being. I'm just like, oh man, like what the
My
heck?
bank was like, screw it, you can put them all through, but Google would have none of it. Yeah, no, my order was canceled at various points 17, 25 times. I don't remember. It was unbelievably
Holy cow.
Yep.
That's it's inexcusable.
It was bad news.
Well, it's worse news for Google because this phone, they're going to have a hard time selling it as it is. I mean, I'm excited about it. It looks great.
Yeah.
But it's just, nobody bought. The story was they're going to make twice as many this year as they sold last year.
They're going to make 6 instead of 3.
But 7 million phones. Apple sells that in a day.
I came up with, but Apple sells 200 million plus a year. I don't remember the exact number. It's some crazy number.
Yeah.
Apple or Google sold 3.7 million last year.
Even if they sell
7,
if they sell a million a day, for a week,
they expect to sell 7 of those and then another 5 of the 5A. That's the number.
I mean, it just puts it in perspective. I mean, they're not anywhere near the market leaders, and
of course, they're like Microsoft is in PCs. They're a kind of, despite the fact that they make the platform, they are a boutique hardware maker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Surfaces. And then when I just remember buying an iPhone 13 for Lisa, got up at 5 a.m. Now, maybe that's because they do it at 5 a.m. our time, but that's 8 a.m. your time. That's, and
That's like Bing Bang.
there's a little hesitation.
Sure.
They probably were selling a million phones a minute.
Apple, this company that doesn't know anything about cloud computing, probably, bought their data center off the back of a cereal box or something, has no problem accommodating. They know how to take money.
It's got to be It's got to be a trifle upsetting to the executives at Google, because remember, they're trying to sell cloud services.
Right. By the way, it had better be. It was I am one of the biggest fans of Pixel I think that there is. I wanted to buy an iPhone yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't. This is ridiculous.
I was about ready to take the Duo 2 and make it my phone.
Well, okay. Let's.
Hey, you're getting it tomorrow, right, Mary Jo? It's coming tomorrow.
Getting it tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Maybe you should do that. Think?
Nope.
No.
This is
Although I'm going to try to keep an open mind, even though they didn't give me a review unit. Microsoft, it's still good. We're friends still.
We do have a Pixel 6 in-house. Jason Howell.
Oh, yeah, he
got
had
a
one,
review
right?
unit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm hopeful that maybe I can get to play with it. He's embargoed until next week.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
This is kind of weird.
Let me ask you journalists about this. Google's embargo, as far as I can tell, because nobody will tell me, I'm not saying Jason has told me the rules, but I know that at 10 a.m. when the event started, he could now show the phone, talk about it, but not give not give any benchmarks or impressions. Couldn't take any pictures with it. And then a week later, I'm not sure when the embargo lifts, but I'm going to presume it's about a week later. He's going to be able to do that.
Probably the day that they ship out. Yeah. Right? Or the day before.
That's not unusual? Seems unusual.
Nope.
No, Microsoft did that with the first Duo, right? Remember that? We could show the phone, but we couldn't show it turned on. Yep.
Oh, I do remember that. See, my opinion is this is disadvantageous to the end user, because essentially for a week, all you can do is parrot Google's line.
Yeah.
Yes. In other words, you're not getting the information you need to determine whether you want to pre-order this thing.
Right.
All you can do is say,
we have a garbage movie, and we're not going to screen it for critics.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
It's going to be good. I feel positive about it.
Yeah.
Well,
in spite of the store incident, I still.
Yeah. I mean,
here are the two concerns. Google has a terrible history with hardware reliability, specifically with Pixel. So that's got to be in the back of your mind a little bit. But the other
I've
concern
never had a problem ever with my Pixels.
Okay, well, the rest of the planet has, Mary Jo, so this is very common. But the other issue, maybe you have the magic touch. I don't know. But the other thing is, this is a first generation SoC from a company that has never made it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. True.
And
true.
We'll see. They had a performance figure during the event, and if you go to the site, you can see what they were comparing it to, which was 80% performance benefit over something, and it was over the Pixel 5a, which is a low to mid-level phone. Right. So, the way I've always kind of structured this since they first started leaking stuff about it back in August was, this thing doesn't have to beat the Qualcomm 888. It doesn't have to beat Apple Silicon. It just has to be competitive, and it has to be better than those mid-level chips they've been using for the past year. And I think it's fair that it will probably land in there somewhere. But man, we'll see.
Don't people buy a Pixel for the camera? I mean, isn't that?
Yes.
That's the big one.
Yeah. That's the big one. And that looks to be good. And then they showed a lot of features based on the Tensor chip, like ML, on phone features like automatic fast translation and dictation. And all of that looked pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The erasing the people in the background thing, that looked cool.
It's funny because they announced that 2 years ago, and it's taken them that long to get it into a phone. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One of the things I really like about Pixel is that people refer to the Android that comes on it as like clean Android. It's a stock Android. It's not. It is highly customized for Pixel. Sometimes it's an early breeding ground for features that may make it to other phones in the future. And you always get to test the next version of Android, which I know is not a big deal for Mary Jo, but for me, it's a huge deal. So there's so many reasons to like the software experience on Pixel. And I don't know if you've done this yet, Mary Jo, but you can install Android 12 now and on your 3XL. Android 12 is beautiful. Beautiful.
It is nice.
I love it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is for both of you. Your daily driver is good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's because you're Windows folks and you don't want to touch that stuff.
No, it's because it's honestly for me it was a combination of that clean Android thing, the photography stuff, and Google Fi.
Yeah, I'm a Fi user. I was hoping to get this before we go to Mexico next Wednesday, but I think it's not going to come in time. Yeah.
Mine's going to arrive the day I get back from my trip, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I think, boy, we're going down to see the Day of the Dead. What a great photo opportunity.
Oh yeah.
So I asked Jason, ask Google if I can borrow yours, take it to Mexico, bring it back, and then I'll have mine by then.
Now, does he have a Pro or just the normal?
He has
Pixel
both,
6?
One of each.
Oh, he has both. Yeah.
They had a good conversation
really
last night. If you didn't
curious
see all about Android, but he can't review it per se until next week. So
sure.
After his review is completed, I'm going to try to steal it from him. We'll see.
By the way, I will say this because I've complained about this a lot, and I'm a reviewer of both hardware and software. Far too often, reviews come out after someone has had a device for 3 days.
Yeah, I agree.
4 days, 5 days, whatever.
It's problematic.
Yeah.
So in a way, Google is enforcing that these people will have to spend a couple of weeks with the product.
That's a good point.
Instead of a couple of days. And honestly, that's a good thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But I really want to see pictures. I mean, I want to see.
I know.
I want to see more than just what Google's been allowing us to see. So that's going to be the test, and then of course and it'd be in Mexico. I could try the simultaneous translation stuff, and it'd just be an opportunity to really put it through its paces. I think I can. Once his review is done, I think I can just say, look, I'm going to take it for a week, and you can have it back when I get back. I think I can do that.
Honestly, if you have enough people, you could force it.
Did you guys?
All right, hold him down.
Yeah. It's mine. Mine now. No, he wants to ask Google, and I agree. He should get their permission.
Yeah.
Did you guys get the black one with 512 gigs of storage? Or?
No. Well, Leo, in the process of my 2 hours and 39 minutes, I ordered every color.
Me too.
In every configuration, I ordered it.
Which one did you?
Not through Google Fi. I ordered it as part of Pixel Pass, not as part of Pixel Pass. I did everything I could to get this phone. So what I ended up with was whatever I ended up with. A black.
I got the sort of sunny, the yellow
Me too.
one.
Yeah, that was my first choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got
it only comes in 128, right?
Yeah, it's only 128. But that's what my Pixel 4 is, and I'm happy with that. I don't need more than that.
Yep.
I would have ordered more and paid more just to get it. I was willing to do that, but
well, like Paul, you should talk.
Well, I mean, the normal price
for $10,000.
Sure.
This is an expensive week because the day before I ordered 3 very, very expensive MacBooks.
Yikes.
What do you?
I was so happy to watch that event and know I didn't have to spend a cent.
Yeah, but didn't you want to, Paul? Come on.
Nope.
No, not tempted.
Not at all.
Not at all tempted.
I have an M1 MacBook Pro, and I couldn't care less about it.
Yeah. It is. I read a really negative review in Forbes, one of those, paid contributions.
Like a hit job kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of probably a guy who used to work for Intel or something. But anyway, you rarely see an announcement of a new computer that is that many multiples faster than the old one, even only a year old. I mean, they're like doubling the speed. The hard drive is.
Are they? I mean, I don't even know.
Well, we don't know, I guess.
Right.
Are they?
But it looks like they are. I don't think Apple.
I don't know. This thing is still a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse, and it's just
21 hours battery life.
It was video play.
They fixed all the stuff that was screwed up too, right? Like all the things they did wrong, the keyboard and.
Well, that's to me, that's kind of interesting. They basically rewound the clock to 2015.
Yeah, that's good.
Because the 2016.
It's time they listen to customers.
That's what happened.
Oh my God, those things are they look like MacBook.
That's good.
Pros from 2012 or something.
It's hard at this point not to blame Johnny Ive and say, Their designer had too much of an upper hand.
And Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs was the one who pushed for the thin. I mean,
yeah, but he died in 2011. The 2016 MacBook Pros are the ones that had the butterfly keyboard, the touch bar. They dropped the MagSafe.
This is the company that said we're not going to say what would Steve do, and then they just did what would Steve do.
Right?
Like come on. I mean, this is like him from beyond the grave.
I think Steve moderated Johnny a little bit, and Johnny, without Steve, just said, all right, thinner, lighter. Okay. Who cares what you think? I know what's best.
I miss his pukey voiceovers.
Yeah, I do miss that. That's the only in his
aluminium
weird white room. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Here on Mount Olympus, we designed the most perfect product.
I know you tuned in not to hear any of this crap. So let's talk about Windows.
I tuned in to listen to me mock Apple. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. We are in Windows 11 world. How are things in Windows 11 world?
Oh, Leo.
Well, today was a little exciting.
What happened?
I'm tell
First
you,
preview of the Windows Subsystem for Android.
Oh, that's faster than I thought.
Yeah, it's except it doesn't actually do anything.
Oh.
It's
come on, there are 50 apps you can try.
There are no apps you can try. I don't think there's anyone out there that has gotten an app from the store yet. It's no apps.
Are you sure?
It's not there.
Wait a minute, it's just a store with nothing in it?
No, it's not even it's a store that doesn't have Android anything in it yet. I mean, it's not, they announced it, but it's not there.
Is there a subsystem that you actually downloaded or anything?
The only way they announced it's coming supposedly. Anyone would read this and assume I'm going to install the new build and get it. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Raphael got me the code to enable this thing, but you can't. It doesn't make the store stuff happen. So all you get is a virtual machine of Android, and that's it. So it's just like you can sideload apps. 50.
The first first testers are going to get 50 apps. I saw people saying they had tested Minecraft on it.
So you can sideload apps on it.
Oh, okay.
So people have sideloaded Spotify and Fortnite and I guess whatever they have.
The new Kindle. Is the Kindle app there? It should be there.
I don't think you can sideload that.
Oh, you can't?
I don't. Not yet. It will be there. Look, it could be there during the show for all I know. I'm just saying that they announced this thing. It got really,
Okay, so give me
really
the timeline.
Excited, installed it, and it's just not
Press release comes out.
No, here's what happened.
Okay.
The Walking Cat.
There's a little bit of a story.
The Walking Cat found the developer documentation for it on Microsoft's site and published a link to it. So then Microsoft rushed out with an announcement this morning, even though the beta build that supports it wasn't even out yet. And they said, hey, it's out, right? And so it's like, no, it's not. It's coming today to the beta testers, right? And then it's going to be delivered through the Microsoft Store as an app. So first you have to install the Amazon App Store, right? And then you get the
By the
Windows
way, just as a little bit of humor, anyone running Windows 11, go to the App Store and the Microsoft Store rather, and search for App Store for Android and see all the hilarious software that comes up. So if you ever thought that they might have cleaned up this store, it's not good.
No.
Not good.
Is it all scammy? Like,
yeah, it's all terrible.
Gosh darn it. Why do they let that happen?
Let me, I just want to, I have to broach this topic. I'm going to try to do it in a non-ranty way. But I really feel that this is, I know I'm going for this. I'm going to try this.
All right.
Because I know I complain a lot, but this is, someone has to care about this stuff. This is, I think, the ultimate example of Microsoft's inability to communicate and how it hurts people, like real people. Like, I really think that this is horrible what they did. You may recall, I don't know if it was August, probably September at some point, they said, hey, by the way, pretty soon we're going to switch the dev channel over to something that might be, not will be, but might be less stable. So if you don't like less stable, you might want to switch to the beta channel. And at that time, as you recall, since whenever the beta channel came online, the beta and dev channels were interchangeable. You could switch back and forth using the settings interface. So I didn't pay much heed to that because I was like, I don't really, obviously I don't care personally, but I thinking about other people, it's like if you run into a dev build that's kind of buggy or unstable, that's fine. You can just switch over to the beta build. That's a feature they enabled this summer. But the thing they didn't communicate, and we already complained about this whenever it happened, was that they were taking that capability away. And so a lot of people stayed in the dev channel and then couldn't go to the beta channel. Mm-hmm. And now they're stuck with the watermark and they're not running the software that people get on day one, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So I thought that was really terrible. But here's what just happened. They're releasing the Android App Store and Android apps to the beta channel, not to the dev channel, which is the channel that's supposed to get everything first. The reason someone would be in the dev channel would almost certainly right now to see this Android thing first. So
that is weird.
If you got screwed over back in, again, I forget what it was, August, September, now you're getting doubly screwed because you're on the leading edge. You have chosen to be on the leading edge.
Well, that's really weird that they put it in beta, but it's not in dev, it's in beta.
It's only in beta.
There's also no explanation about why.
Of why. Exactly right.
No.
Now, there is the Windows Insider Post does have a paragraph that does not explain why, but says this is what's happening. And they do say it's coming to the dev channel. Like, obviously, we're going to bring it to the dev channel. But I think a lot of people are sitting there in the dev channel specifically because they've been dying to test this one feature. And then they get to sit here today when Microsoft announces it to a different channel that's not supposed to get features first. And there's no way to go back. Like, they'll have to reinstall the OS now.
You want to hear my guess why it went to the beta channel? This is just my
I have a guess too, but yes, I do.
Okay. My guess is they want to make sure that the Windows Subsystem for Android can run on the RTM version of Windows 11. And so if you're in the beta channel, you're not running RTM anymore, but you're running something slightly above it. Like, you're still in the 2200 build series, right? Which is what RTM was. So if they had put it in the dev channel, that wouldn't guarantee backwards compatibility with the original RTM version of Windows 11.
So my counter argument to that would be that you could still test it in dev first and then test it in beta, which would be the normal course of events. And at that point, you would discover those incompatibilities. But I guess I think of Windows 11 and the way they're testing it through multiple channels as a series of pipes. No, as a... dev is weird because it's not a version of Windows, right? Right. And what that says to me is that it's obviously this series of interconnected components, any one of which could be more advanced than what's in the RTM version. And to kind of further your point, that series of weirdnesses could lead to incompatibilities that you wouldn't see in beta or vice versa. I mean, there's certainly something to that. I have no idea why they didn't release it to both at the same time. It's such a slap in the face to the people some of whom were already just trapped here and couldn't leave. And then many of whom specifically chose this because this is what they wanted to test. And God, you can't even count the number of times they've harmed people who specifically chose something they wanted to test through the Insider program, and Microsoft pulled some A/B testing nonsense, or now they're doing this. And it's like, I don't understand how many times you can mistreat these people before they just give up on you. Like, this is so malicious and awful and unnecessary. It's just wrong. It just could have been a simple one sentence explanation in the blog post. Like, and the reason we put it in the beta channel first was blah. Right. So the way they wrote it, and I'm just paraphrasing because I'm not reading it, but they basically said the dev channel is on a different thing. Right. It's not, they're on a whole different set of numbers. And that's not really why, but it's a fact. It's like it's probably partially relevant, but it's not why. And I don't like I said, I just don't understand. If they had it come out in beta and dev at the same time, they could have said what you said. Well, look, these things are two different things. So we need to understand the compatibility on both. And I would have said, that would have been fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. It's just weird. It's too bad. It just colors it a little bit, you know? Yeah. I know. It's too bad. But luckily there are a lot of ways around it. Like, people like Raph and other people are posting mirrored places you can go get it and try it out. Because also we didn't mention this. It's US only also. That's the other thing. Right. So all these people overseas are like, wait a minute, what? People who are fans of Microsoft that don't live in the United States that had to deal with this kind of thing with Zune and Windows Phone and on and on. Cortana features. Are painfully well versed in how this works, and I know it's sort of like the Google unable to sell you a phone thing. It's like this is a gigantic corporation that has its tendrils in every country on earth. And for some reason, they can only release software in US English inside the United States. It's like, and obviously that's not the case, broadly. I mean,
you think it's Amazon that's part of the issue? Because this is the Amazon store, really, right?
It is, right. It's the Amazon App Store used with the Windows Subsystem.
And Amazon's not global.
Well, okay, that's interesting. I think that the Android subsystem is Microsoft, not Amazon.
The store is
Amazon is just a store that distributes apps. I mean, you can still sideload as people are doing today.
But all the 50 apps that are available to test are from Amazon's.
Are through the store. And none of them are actually available, like I said. I mean, I read that post and I thought, I'm going to install the beta channel. It's going to show up in the store and off we go. And that is not what happened.
It does seem like that's what one would assume, but yeah.
Yep.
So can you install, Paul, can you install the Amazon App Store? Because Chris Galsdorf says last night there was an update to the store that lets him install the Amazon App Store now.
Okay. So I have a feeling, how software rolls out over time, like I asked you. By the way, Mary Jo, just as an aside, I'll say this out publicly in front of everybody. 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I asked you, hey, what's going on with the visual refresh for Office for Windows 11? It's not clear from the blog post when this is coming out, and somebody asked me about it, and you told me, correctly, by the way, that it is rolling out over time. It is rolling out now. Yeah. When I asked you that question, I also sent an email to Microsoft and asked them the same question. They got back to me 7 days later with the same answer. So I'll just say things roll out slowly at Microsoft, and that includes responses to people like me sometimes. It is possible that I think the Walking Cat kind of screwed things up for them a little bit. I don't know that they were ready to go live with this today.
Same.
Wednesday is an off day for them, honestly, for this kind of thing, isn't it? Don't they usually do Thursday?
Yeah.
So it's possible that store update that whoever that was saw is something that some people are seeing. I've not personally seen a report of anyone getting it, but I have checked the store for an update to the store. I'm doing all this stuff, but maybe tomorrow, maybe in the next 24 hours, it just appears. But I feel like this was rushed announced.
Or maybe after this rant today, you can wait 7 more days just before you will see it.
Yes, they'll mark my account with. Yeah, Therot gets it in November. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Sure.
Okay, but my question for people in the chat room and on Discord: what Android apps do you really want to see? Because I see a couple people saying, I really want the blah. There's some games I'm seeing people say. There's some home automation stuff. But, is there anything? And Kindle, of course.
Kindle,
a lot of people are very interested.
So, by the way, one of the apps
what else do
I would
people
have
want to see?
I would have said Instagram. Now, I understand there's a Windows app for Instagram, but my understanding is you can't post with it. But I don't know if you saw the news story, but apparently the ability to post from the web version of Instagram is going live this week, also rolling out over time.
Oh, okay.
So we'll finally be able to post to Instagram from a computer like normal people. Kindle would be one of the big ones, and that is going to be part of the Wave 1 stuff. That's good. I don't know.
I saw people saying Minecraft, but I'm like, why? Why not run?
Well, the app game is different from the Java. Version.
Oh, is it really?
But I don't know. The Windows Store must have Minecraft as an app.
Yeah, there's 2 versions. This is going to come up later, believe it or not. But there are 2 versions of Minecraft for Windows. One is the original Java version, which isn't compatible with anything.
They call that Bedrock.
And then there's a more recent version that is actually cross-play compatible, so you can play with people on mobile, on consoles.
But those are already available, so you don't need that from Android.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
TikTok?
Honestly, music apps, I think, would be a big one. We can access the web interface for music apps, but I like the native apps better. That
So Spotify for sure.
Yeah. I also like the notion of having a little portrait phone app for something that's basically like a little utility, like Philips Hue or.
Well, that's all the home automation stuff people probably want. Yeah.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff I think would be kind of neat because it doesn't have to be like a full screen Windows experience. It could be like a little.
Well, sometimes it can. I mean, there are. I don't think Amazon. I think Amazon's Alexa has to be an app. I don't know if there's a. If you want to control your Alexa, I think you have to do it through the phone app. I don't. Maybe you can do it.
There is. Well, no, there's an Alexa app for Windows.
Oh, there is. All right.
Yeah,
so that's the thing. I mean,
some PC makers actually give it away.
So many app stores have apps have now. Mobile apps have now been available on Windows for some time.
I'll tell you the biggest apps I'd want to see on Windows are Gmail, Google Maps, Google Calendar.
All the web stuff. Yeah.
All that stuff is not going to be part of this.
Right. Because it's Kindle.
But why don't you just use the web? No.
Yeah, I mean, you got the web
Listen,
app.
PWA defender Mary Jo Foley. I'll tell you why.
I'm not going to defend PWAs. I feel so bad. You know, I wanted to run Android messages, which is a PWA. You have to, so you can do it in a Chromium-based thing. But then when you click it, it launches the browser that you made it in. So it's like, well, what's the point if I have to be the browser running in the background? That's not always going to be the case.
So I haven't done that in a while,
it's
but
very frustrating.
I thought messages, you can save it, like pin it or whatever, and it should run.
I made a PWA out of it with Brave.
Yeah.
And with Edge. And in both cases, if I double-click the app, it's an Edge app.
You're saying
and
the
Edge
actual
launches.
browser comes up?
The browser window launches.
Oh,
which is
you know what?
I just keep
sorry.
it in
Okay,
a
so-
tab.
that's different from a PWA.
Yeah, so in other words, let's say if you use Brave and you don't have any browser running and your only intention is to use Brave for this one thing, I believe the first instance of anything will launch the browser.
But after that, not?
Yeah, because most people will have the browser running with tabs and whatever they're doing, but they have specific apps that they want as standalone.
If I wanted
using
the
that browser
browser
in the background,
I would do a Mary Jo. I would run in a tab. I want it as a standalone app so I don't have to launch my browser.
Yeah.
I guess most people just have the browser running all the time.
I always
stopped
have my
using
browser open.
Standalone web pins of any kind, whether they're PWAs or not. For that reason, it's like just run it in a tab. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's a little disappointing because I'd like to have it. In effect, it was a way for me to get an app for Android messages on the desktop.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it still works. I mean, you know, if you're going to have a web browser running anyway, right? Aren't you on the desktop?
Not always.
Really? No.
Well, yeah, you are, Leo, because you're trying to use a PWA.
I live in my browser. Like the thing that's open all the time for me is my browser.
Well, I'll tell you my oddball usage is I use Firefox, which doesn't do PWA. So I did it in Edge, but I don't want Firefox and Edge running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously, the browser has to run in the background to do anything, right? Like a PWA.
I mean, I thought PWA's the whole point was it wasn't the browser. So anyway, I guess I'm disappointed.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me. There was a news story a month or two ago that Microsoft was going to deprecate or get rid of the ability to run Android app versions of Office on Chromebooks, right? And they're pushing people to the web apps. Yep. And I wonder, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that went into effect as of October 1st. And it just occurred to me because now we're getting this thing on Windows. I wonder if they're doing the same thing in Windows 11, right? Because what they want is for you to use, because, you know, Windows 11 computers like Chromebooks can have bigger screens. So you would have to have a Microsoft 365 paying account to even use the damn thing, right? But I wonder if they're doing that. I wonder if that started because Android apps were coming to Windows 11. You know, like if you're running Windows 11, they don't want you running the Android app. You run the Windows app.
Right. That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe.
That's why this whole Android subsystem is a little confusing, to be frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your phone. If you have a Samsung, it works pretty well. If you don't have a Samsung phone, it doesn't work as well. But that lets you run Android apps, right? On Windows.
But that's like the PWA thing. What you're really running is it's your phone, you know.
Yeah.
And I know they support multiple apps now, but it's kind of multiple views of your phone. So your phone always has to be attached and
right.
You know, available.
I don't use your phone anymore because it doesn't work very well with the Pixel. It works better if you have a Samsung.
Okay.
But you're disillusioned about PWAs.
I'm just going to make everything a command line app.
PWAs is going to come up again in the show too.
Yep.
So, you know,
Let's take a break.
PC versions of Minecraft.
Well, I cry into my beer. We will come back in just a bit with Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking about Windows and Microsoft and all that jazz. And let me talk for a little bit to business owners, enterprise users, about ESET, E-S-E-T. It is absolutely the most terrifying thing these days about being in business is ransomware. You're just waiting. You're just waiting. I'm in the lobby waiting for ransomware to come on out. Mr. Laporte, your ransomware is here. In fact, whenever I see our managed service provider, Russell, I say, are we safe? Are we safe? I feel like Laurence Olivier in the Marathon Man. Oh, is it safe? He says it is. And I say, why? And he says, we are running ESET. ESET's been our security provider here at Twit for years. Not just for ransomware, for malware of all kinds. But I have to say, I could probably survive, these days a little Melissa would be fine, but if it's ransomware, man, that's not good. This month is Cyber Security Awareness Month. So let's talk a little bit about ransomware and how it changes how we approach and how you should approach IT security. Ransomware is getting, it's all you have to do is listen to Security Now. I mean, it's getting bigger. There's more money in it. There are constant mutations because cyber criminals know that, you start to defend against one, they're going to make another. And that means that as the threats evolve, so does your detection. It has to be dynamic. It has to evolve. It has to evolve quickly and be more precise than conventional endpoint protection. That's why we use ESET's Dynamic Threat Defense, EDTD. It's a really clever idea. Before an attachment comes into your inbox, and we do this company-wide, ETDT sees the attachment, it loads it into a cloud-based sandbox and executes it. Documents, scripts, installers, executable files, it identifies them, it isolates them, then runs them in a safe sandboxed environment, not on-prem, up in the cloud, so they can do code analysis, deep inspection of the sample, using machine learning, in-memory analysis, AI. ESET's Dynamic Threat Defense enables behavior-based detection and allows or blocks a file in minutes. If it's okay, goes right through to your email. If it's not, it's quarantined. And that is exactly what you need these days. This kind of speed. No extra demands on your system. It's operating in the cloud. Something endpoint detection just can't accomplish. It's one of the reasons, our editors working on nice Dell workstations, they're running Adobe Premiere. But because we don't want to mess with it, they're still running Windows 8.1. We want to keep them safe. But they're editing. We don't, they're doing some heavy duty processing. We don't want to slow them down. ESET's perfect for that. It is so lightweight. Its footprint is tiny. System resources, memory, CPU, hardly affected. I think nobody wants to be patient zero in a cyber attack. If you're looking for world-class ransomware protection, you're going to want ESET's Dynamic Threat Defense. As part of ESET's Protect Complete, it also includes endpoint security. You get full disk encryption. I love that. And for Microsoft 365 users, advanced security to close those gaps in Microsoft's own native protection. It's belt and suspenders. But when it comes to ransomware, I don't want my pants to fall down. Right now, ESET Protect Complete is 20% off. You can try before you buy. Get your free ESET business trial and an interactive demo if you go to business.eset.com/twit. Save 20% right now on ESET Protect Complete. It includes EDTD with this limited time offer. business.eset.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting Windows Weekly. Encourage you, by the way, to use that address so they know you heard it here. You're supporting us by doing that. Thank you. Back to Paul and Mary Jo, and let's see, what else? Windows Update Stack. What is that? That's short for WUS. What is that? what is that?
So that's a good question. What is it? Because Microsoft gave very little information about this in the dev channel build that they issued last week. So they came out with build 22478, and they said, by the way, we're also going to start testing another vehicle for making Windows updates better for you so that it'll be easier for you to get updates to all your apps. And we're calling this Update Stack Packages. So right now, it's just a very small set of update-related system files that are independent of the operating system. So I said to them, how does this fit in with the things that you're already doing, like servicing stack updates and cumulative updates? Right. And they said they had no comment. So we don't know a lot about what this is.
I thought they said, we have no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's been very interesting because I follow a lot of MVPs on Twitter who work in the configuration management and endpoint management space. And I was asking people, so what do you guys think this is? And no one knew. They're like, we never even heard of this till today. Like, you'd think they would know because this is kind of in their wheelhouse. But no, none of them had any idea what this was at all. It's a little weird that they would even talk about this, to be honest, when they don't want to say what it is or what it's going to be used for or what kinds of things will be updated through this update stack package. Right now we're getting all these different ways you can update apps from Microsoft, different vehicles for updating them, sometimes through the store, sometimes independently of the store. And it sounds good, like, yeah, at least your apps will always be up to date and it'll make updating them easier. But it's very confusing what gets updated where, right? Like what's going to get updated here that won't be updated in another place in a different way. So yeah, update stack packages, we don't really know what they are. We know very little about it.
I'm not going to defend them, obviously, but what this reminds me of is 2-3 years ago, I don't remember, they had come up with some new channel or ring at the time or whatever it was, where they were like, we're testing a background updating service. We're not going to talk about it right now, but just so you know, we're doing this. Yep. And then it became a thing, eventually it became part of Windows. So to me, it's like something like that, yet another back end way to update another part of the system without releasing a new version of Windows.
Yeah. But yeah, it would be nice to know more because just earlier this year, they came out with the idea of bringing together servicing stack updates with cumulative updates, which IT pros were really happy about. They're like, oh, good. Now we don't have to update it twice. We can just do it once and get both sets of updates together. So I would think this fits in with that somehow, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reminded of the other, for all of the terribleness of Windows as a service, the one objectively excellent change that has occurred in the Windows 10 and now 11 timeframe is cumulative updates, right?
Right.
If you ever go back, you shouldn't be doing this now, but anyone who over the past several years has gone to a Windows 7 computer, reset the thing, which was a manual process, and then had to install like 187 updates or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Multiple reboots. Every time you reboot, you have more updates to install. It was such a nightmare. So they did, it took them a while, but they got on top of that for sure. So, that's a good thing. That's one of the really nice things.
That is good.
About Windows today. Yeah.
And the other, before we forget, because this is important, Build 22478 also has the long-awaited Fluent designed emoji.
Woohoo! Finally.
A lot of people were very irate that did not make it into the RTM build. You think I'm kidding? I am not kidding.
You're not, okay.
I'm not.
Of all the terrible things in the world, that was the worst. For sure.
I know. And the test build from last week also is letting people start logging into their PCs using facial recognition with Windows Hello on an external monitor if you have a camera that supports that. So that's kind of a nice feature for people who use a monitor alongside their PC.
Right.
Yeah. There's a new build today that just came out to Dev Channel. There's just a bunch of fixes in it and nothing else.
Right.
So you mentioned
that there are
you want to talk about the AMD fix? Because I'm an AMD user.
Yeah. So it's not the full fix, which I thought when I first saw this. Right. It's only a partial fix to the problems with performance around AMD Ryzen, right? So there's two sets of problems that Microsoft and AMD are having with Windows 11. They're both performance degradation kinds of things, especially if you're running games. This is a problem. So last Friday in the afternoon, Microsoft put out a new test build to beta and release preview, build 2200 2.282 that has a fix to the L3 caching issue that's affecting AMD, but it doesn't fix the other issue. So we still don't know when Microsoft's going to fix the other part of this, which is the preferred core part of the problem. They haven't said when they're going to fix that. And then once they do fix that part, then they have to test it. And then finally, this fix to both things will come out to the mainstream, but we don't know when. I had heard October was the goal, but we're kind of running out of October now, so maybe it won't be October. So it's half fixed, and it's only fixed for insiders who are testing that. I still have not put Windows 11 on my Ryzen PC.
Don't you want the new emojis?
10 minutes before this show, I installed the beta channel of Windows 11 on this computer. I installed Hyper-V. I installed the Android subsystem for,
just before the show. Sure. What could go wrong? Yeah, that's
Why
good.
not?
Yep. Yeah. Is it an AMD computer?
No.
Oh, all right. At least you have some sense. Okay.
Throw one more thing in the mix.
Oh, no, it's Windows on ARM. What do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
So in the past 24 hours, we've gotten the new dev build, which Mary Jo just mentioned, which just fixes. We got the beta build today, which has it will eventually have the Windows Subsystem for Android. And did you see that there were 2 builds released to the release preview channel?
What?
One for Windows 10 21H1 and one for Windows 10 20H2. 21H2, sorry. I thought that had moved on to Windows 11 too, had it not? Or am I missing something?
This is going to get kooky in a while soon if they don't want to.
So I'm trying to understand. I'm
these.
sure there's a rationale for this. Like there were people. I don't know. I don't know how you would end up with one or the other. You're in the release preview channel, but you could be on 21H1. You could be on 21H2.
Yeah. Well, also, and we should mention, because I've gotten questions on this today, where is 21H2? It still isn't out.
Right.
I thought that was coming out, Windows 10 21H2 in October. Again, we're running out of October, so maybe it is, and maybe it's not going to make it this month.
We need more October.
Yeah, that is confusing, though. I think, you're right. Some people in the release preview are on Windows 10 21H2 because they're testing the version that's not out yet, right?
So release preview, I guess if I think about it, is not really about moving to a new operating system version. It's about getting updates to the existing operating system you have. So I guess conceivably, if you're running Windows 10, you could be on 21H1 or on H2. So,
oh God.
Yeah,
I know. But there's 2 separate builds. That's what's weird about it. So they actually
guys, this is why we have beer pick of the week. I'm just saying.
You know who you are, but I feel bad for Microsoft support, which I'll have to ask you.
I just like to pause for a moment and remind people of how awesome it must be just to be an Apple guy. Like you don't have to think about anything. Everything's great. You don't disagrey with anything.
Ask us on Monday when Monterey comes out. It may not.
And then you
be
switch over this, and it's like, what the frick?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just search for more
keep
October.
It interesting. I'll give them that.
Sean Connery in that. The Army AR headset deal.
Yeah. This happened, I think, during Windows Weekly. There was a report late last week where Jane's, which is a defense publication that's very famous, came out with a story saying the Army has halted plans for that contract that Microsoft's been touting, the $20 billion IVAS contract, which is integrated visual augmentation system. It's a HoloLens-like goggle that they're going to deploy in the Army. Cool. And so this sounded pretty dire, right? They were like, yeah, we talked to a bunch of people. They said they're halting it. They're not. They don't think it's ready. And I'm like, oh man, this is like one of Microsoft's biggest contracts. So after talking to the Army, I hadn't talked to the Army before. That was kind of fun. A lot of,
yes, ma'am.
If you think Microsoft's bureaucratic, you should try talking to them.
Did you talk to a general? Who did you talk to?
Well, I had a general, I think, as my contact who immediately put me to PR and was like, no, I don't talk to press. No, that's a no.
Yeah.
But what it is they are pushing back the rollout schedule so that it's going to roll out a few months later in 2022 than they originally anticipated. But they are still committed to doing the full contract, and they've been testing it. The field deployment of these headsets, they bought 120,000 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to start in September 2022. I don't know exactly when it was supposed to start, but yeah. The Army put out a statement and said, yeah, that report wasn't correct, and here's what we're doing. We're still committed to Microsoft, and we're still committed to using these headsets. And if you pay attention to all the goings-on about employees protesting contracts with the military, Microsoft employees, some of them, have been protesting this since 2019 because these goggles are going to be used in battle, right? And they're going to be used as part of military missions, but Microsoft is still going forward with this as far as we know at this point.
Can I read the statement that they sent to you?
Yeah, it's hilarious, right?
The Army conducted an adversary electronic warfare and cybersecurity test in September 2021 and plans to execute testing regularly throughout FY22. This decision allows the Army and industry team to continue to enhance the IVAS technology platform, ensuring soldiers achieve overmatch in multi-domain operations. The Army intends to continue developing and fielding this revolutionary, first-of-its-kind technology in FY22.
What is overmatch in multi-domain operations?
Overmatch. It's like an Unreal Tournament 2000.
Overmatch. We've got overmatch.
Overmatch.
You've got overmatch.
That's great.
I'm sure that means something to somebody, but
I'm sure it does. No, then they sent me the schedule, the rollout schedule, which is full of more gobbledygook. I'm like, I don't even know what these terms are here in this rollout schedule, but
it's every specialty has its jargon.
It does.
And certainly the military has its jargon.
Well, not the computer industry, Leo. Come on.
Oh, no, we don't do that.
There's only one group of people who like acronyms more than the computer industry, and that's the military.
Yeah.
Yep.
IVAS technology platform.
Do you know if is it like going to be built in the helmets like the night vision is, where they swoop it down and then swoop it up, or how they're going to use that?
Oh, I'm kind of forgetting
this.
This.
Picture like a MASH episode where a bunch of guys wearing HoloLens are bumbling into each other in the dark, and they all get captured by the Koreans.
I don't want to see my army going.
No, you don't.
Which way did
I'm doing all the gestures, the swipe,
and then, that's right.
So,
the other guys are looking at each other. Like, is this guy for real?
What?
So this. Yeah, we should be very clear. This is not HoloLens.
It's not HoloLens. Okay.
It's not HoloLens. They use some of the concepts and the underlying technology in HoloLens, but it's supposed to give them night vision, thermal, and airborne, soldier-borne sensors built into the display.
Heads-up display, basically.
It's for humanitarian missions. I don't know what all the
exactly. It's for military training, fighting,
nation building,
all of that together.
Just don't do the bloom in battle, okay?
Do not.
Do you know what that means in our language?
Yeah, that is an evil gesture. You die, infidel. I
could never do the bloom. Every time we get to try the HoloLens, I'm like, I don't know, I can't do that.
Oh man, no, I think this is probably really good stuff. I think there's always a risk in implementing technology. Especially in a life or death situation. But boy, this technology could really help a soldier in action. So I think it's good. It's funny. It's interesting that engineers said we don't want to do any military stuff. It used to be the patriotic thing. When World War II started, all the companies stopped making cars.
Remind me of where the internet came from exactly.
Oh yeah, those guys. Yeah.
No, so this is going to be very interesting for Microsoft, right? Because they have always said, well, the reason we continue to work with the military and sell a lot of stuff to them is because, we're helping defend the nation.
We care about the country, yes.
Yeah, they say this all the time. But now, just last week, in fact, they said they're going to bow to shareholder pressure, and they're going to have an independent human rights review of some of their government contracts. I don't know what's going to happen if that happens and they say, you know what, we don't want you doing this HoloLens thing, or we don't want you doing any more technology deals with ICE, which I could definitely see them doing.
That's different. Right? Yeah, I can understand that.
That's the facial recognition.
We'll use that Windows
stuff,
Update staff package thing to push an update to HoloLens that screws the thing up so it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. This is actually how the balance of power, though, has changed in these companies. Because if you were a Ford worker in 1941, you didn't get, I don't want to build tanks. You know, who cares? But as an engineer,
you wouldn't have even heard that argument.
Well, you might not have, but even if you did, who cares? Sure. But in 2021,
we're canceling the government now. I mean, it's
But in 2021, also, these engineers have a lot of power, and they're not fungible. They're not. It's not like you just go down the road and get another one. That is a big change in the balance of power in companies like Microsoft and Google, and
it is.
Apple's starting to experience some of this too. And they're flexing their
Amazon didn't pay any taxes. I mean, is that the kind of deal you want or not?
There's patriotism, right? Yeah.
Right.
We'll take your money, but we ain't giving you any. Let's see, what else? What else we have on the docket?
We complain about.
What else can we bitch about?
There's got to be more.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to are you done with this one? Because I want to take a break.
Yeah, I'm done with this one.
Okay. Because
I'm looking ahead.
Yes, I am too, and we have some good stuff to talk about. Right. But before we do, I do want to mention a little bit about our fine sponsor, if you don't mind. Our show today is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. You've heard that name before. We talk about WWT all the time. Lisa and I went out there in March of 2020 to see their Advanced Technology Center. Wow, I love this thing. This episode of Windows Weekly is brought to you by Worldwide Technology, a platinum IBM business partner. WWT is at the forefront of innovation. They work with clients all over the world, transforming their businesses with enterprise technology. And of course, again, at the heart of it is that ATC, the Advanced Technology Center, a research and testing lab that brings together technologies from the leading OEMs. There's more than $500 million in equipment invested in the lab. And it's an incredible benefit to, of course, the engineers at WT. They can use the ATC to spin up proofs of concept, to do pilots for their customers, to test, to understand technology so that they can be a trusted partner in your technology upgrades. But here's what's cool, and this started, I think, about a year ago. It was right after we visited it. The ATC is not merely a physical lab space. They've virtualized it. So you can use the Advanced Technology Center in the same way as WWT's in-house engineers. They have hundreds of on-demand and schedulable labs. Their labs and proofs of concept, like the IBM Storage POC, represent the newest advances in every area of enterprise computing: multi-cloud architecture, security, networking, primary and secondary storage, data analytics and AI, DevOps, and so much more. If you wonder, how does WWT get all of this expertise? This is how. And what's great is instead of sitting on it, they share it with their customers. There's so much going on, not just hands-on labs. It's not just a place you can test out products and solutions before you go to market. There's technical articles, expert insights, demonstration videos. There's white papers, all the tools you need to stay up to date with the latest technology. And while you're there, check out WWT's events and communities for more opportunities to learn about technology trends and hear the latest research and insights from their experts. We did a panel when we were there, right, Mary Jo? That was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of thing as well. Whatever your business need, WWT can deliver scalable, tried and tested, tailored solutions. WWT brings strategy and execution together to make a new world happen. To learn more about WWT, the Advanced Technology Center, to gain access to all their free resources, visit wwt.com/twit. Create an account on the ATC platform. That's wwt.com/twit. We thank them for supporting Windows Weekly. Thank you for supporting Windows Weekly by using that address. Speaking of devs and DevOps, let's talk about...
Speaking of dead
devs. No. What's going on in the developer world? Microsoft wait a minute. Don't tell me this. No, not... So Microsoft deprecates UWP. It's the end of the line. This is the platform they used for store apps, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. Actually, to be fair, one of the strengths of Microsoft in the developer space is they always give developers a way forward, and I that's something I actually really respect about the company. Starting with Windows 8, with what used to be called the Metro app platform, Microsoft created a mobile app platform and integrated it with Windows. With Windows 10, it became the Universal Windows Platform, or UWP. And it also became part of a broader effort to create mobile apps with a single code base that would run across multiple hardware types like Xbox, HoloLens, Surface Hub, et cetera, et cetera. The phone, back when we still had phone, obviously. UWP never amounted to much, unfortunately, and most developers who actually target Windows, make desktop apps. And so what Microsoft decided to do was create something that kind of combined the capabilities of the two. It was originally called Project Reunion, as you may recall, and is now called the Windows App Sdk because that's not generic enough. And it's sort of a superset of UWP, but not really, because Windows App Sdk apps, which is rolls right off the tongue, are desktop apps. They're not mobile apps, right? And that's one of the key features there. But honestly, the biggest pain point with UWP, aside from, let's call it a lack of functionality, for lack of a better term, is that UWP features were tied to specific Windows versions. So if you wanted to take advantage of a certain feature that was, in Windows 10 version, 1903, it was kind of a tough thing to use until you knew enough people were on that version of Windows. And so one of the goals of the Windows App Sdk is to take parts of UWP and decouple them from versions of Windows and make them broadly available to any, currently supported version of Windows. And that's great. WinUI 3 is kind of the poster child, but there's more than that. And of course, there'll be more going forward as well. So the kind of gray area for UWP for the past year has been that UWP only supports WinUI 2. And there is a project that's kind of unsupported and not, it's not in a public release. Well, it's a public release, but it's not a, broadly supported, effort to kind of bring WinUI 3 to UWP. But as of now, it appears that it's not going to happen because Microsoft has said that UWP is only going to receive bug reliability and security fixes going forward and not new features. They're providing a migration path, of course, and this is how they push people forward, which is smart. People with existing UWP apps can keep using UWP if that's what they want. But if they want to use new features, latest runtimes, languages, platform features, WinUI 3, WebView 2, .NET 5 or newer, and any upcoming new features, they'll have to migrate their apps to this new SDK. But, again, the big thing to me, well, there's a lot of big things, but the biggest thing to me is that decoupling from the Windows version bit. And I think that's important. And I think for people who took the time and made the investment in UWP, created apps, put them in the store, Microsoft is not abandoning you. So I think that's the most important point here.
How steep is the learning curve? I mean, you're using C++?
I found it to be horrific.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not a professional developer.
Is it .NET?
No.
It's not. But it is C++, right?
It's C#.
It's C#. Okay.
Yeah, C# and XAML. This is also one of the weird issues when you think about Microsoft modern developer environments. So you have like Xamarin, which is going to turn into Maui, or you have UWP, which is turning into Windows App Sdk. They have different flavors of XAML, which is the XML-like language used to create UI, and then C# is just C# whatever, but different SDKs, different developer SDKs. So, I personally, I'm not a developer, right? So I'm speaking off the side of my mouth or whatever. I from the outside, it seems to me you'd want to bring those things together and have there be some kind of consistency there. But it doesn't really matter if you're used to UWP, you are a UWP developer. You're used to that flavor of XAML. You're used to those SDKs. You're using C# most likely. Those skills move forward. And the experience of creating a Windows App Sdk app, which again, terrible phrase, is very similar to UWP. And so it will be very natural for those people, far more natural than for anyone who I don't know, used Windows Presentation Foundation back in the day, or God help you, the Win32 API with C++ or whatever. I mean, it's in the same ballpark as UWP for sure. It's someone described it as a superset. That's not strictly true, but it's definitely, we can call it the next version of UWP. If you accept that Metro apps became UWP, this is what UWP becomes.
Okay. So there's not only a path forward, but the skills and the information you absorb to do this are still applicable.
But even, the other way to think of this too is there's really been a continuum of developer technologies at Microsoft since the .NET era began. When .NET was announced, they had something called WinForms, which was very much like Visual Basic. But when they went to the Windows Presentation Foundation, I apologize, I don't remember what year that was, but in the early 2000s sometime, that was the first developer environment from major desktop developer environment for Microsoft to support XAML and that style of coding, along with C#, which had gone back to the original .NET release. This is 20 years later. I mean, if you came up in the world and were doing WPF, you may have never left it to go to UWP, but if you did, it would be a very natural transition. If you didn't, I think you would face the same hurdles that you would have faced going to UWP, frankly, because it's, it's different, but it's XAML and it's C#. And it may or may not be .NET. It's not .NET, but it's .NET-like, I guess I'll call it, the APIs, that you see in the SDK. So it's familiar enough in the same way that like Xamarin or now Maui is not exactly the same, but if you were doing UWP or even WPF, you could look at that and say, oh, this makes sense to me. There's differences, for sure. But it's XAML and it's C#. It's familiar.
Good. So that's not, things evolve. Every developer expects that, as long as you don't throw out everything I've learned.
But like I said, I this is something I think Microsoft deserves credit for. I mean, when .NET came around, it was big and confusing and weird. But for people who were doing Visual Basic or people who were doing C++ and wanted something like Visual Basic,
right?
WinForms back in the day was like, oh, this is a nice step forward. Like this is a good place to go. And today it's out of date and it's old fashioned in a way. But they've always given you a way forward, and I think that's commendable.
Speaking,
I need to. Can I say something here?
Please.
I cannot believe how measured and reasoned and
we want to applaud Mr. Paul Thurrott
ranty that was
for his very calm.
No, really.
What are you trying to say?
No, because before when we've covered this topic about what's the future of UWP and how Microsoft is basically trying not to say UWP is dead, but are trying to channel
they're still trying to do that, by the way. That's still part of the story, for sure.
They are. And the funniest thing to me about this whole thing when this documentation came out this week was how many people seemed surprised. And I'm like, they have been saying
the
this
fact
for
that I've been ringing this bell for 3 years.
No, and Kevin Gallo and Microsoft, they've been guiding people away and saying, our strategy is different now, and here's where we're going. Project Reunion.
Mary Jo, you were in the room. It was built, 3 years ago? And
I was.
What did someone from Microsoft tell you at that time?
I mean, it was like, so I said, what's the future of UWP? And they're like, we can't say things are dead. That's not allowed anymore in the new Microsoft. So we're going to say that we're moving everything forward, and that UWP is going to have a super set of features. And we're not going to say we're deprecating it or killing it. We're not going to say that, right? We're going to just try to say that, our strategy was unsuccessful getting people to dump Win32 and go to UWP, and we're going to go forward. So I'm like, okay, let's go.
Like Paul, Microsoft is more mature. In days gone by, they might have staged a mock funeral for UWP, parading it through the streets. But
if I have a problem, Leo, it's that I communicate too clearly. But I will just say, no, look, the fundamental mistake Microsoft made, and this goes back to Steven Sinofsky in Windows 8, was believing that Windows could turn into a mobile operating system. It was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a dead
Windows
end.
absolutely needs a modern application platform for sure. And I think the weirdness of, because of what's happened, now we don't have one. We have 8 of them, And so one of the things that Microsoft will now promote in the store is a little schizophrenic, but it's like, oh, you can have any kind of app now, and that's what Windows has become. Yeah. You can still create C++ Win32 apps if you want. You can still create WinForms apps if you want. WPF, UWP, Xamarin, Maui, Android, PWA, goes, a React Native, it goes on and on and on. There is no one path forward. It kind of balloons out.
I think it's kind of, it's analogous to what Microsoft does with Windows, which is they don't want to break anything in the past. Yeah. So if you've got a UWP app and you want to maintain it and keep it going, you're going to be able to. Yeah,
there's no, why Microsoft has UWP apps. They can't break UWP.
Yeah, they do.
And this came up, I want to say last week, with regards to, what was it? The Windows subsystem for Linux being in the store, and how it's kind of weird because it's in Windows. It's not, it's in the store too. When you put something in Windows, that means it's part of the support pipeline that goes off for years and years and years. And UWP is part of that. Yeah. UWP is a component of Windows.
Yeah.
It's in maintenance mode now for sure, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. It's there and it has to work, and they will fix problems with it. And your apps will continue to work. Of course they will.
Tony Tech is asking in our Club Twit Discord, isn't Win 10 and 11 still requiring UWP for some menus? Is that the case?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what technologies they use for the menus, but yeah, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I mean, I think when you see stuff like there's new materials like mica, and again, you got to understand, I'm not a developer, so I'm speaking here. I'm assuming in a way, and this is based on very general knowledge, but it wouldn't surprise me that if you're using WinUI 3, for example, if that is how you get mica, which I don't actually know for a fact, that can't be UWP, right? That has to be Project Reunion or the Windows App Sdk. So yeah, Windows itself is probably a mix and match. You could right click on one thing and maybe it's a UWP menu, and you right click over here and maybe it's a Project Reunion menu. I have no idea. I literally don't know. If anyone who has looked at all of the different context menus in Windows 10 would probably understand that some of those are Win32, C++, because they look old school. Some of them are probably newer stuff like UWP. And now as we go forward, some of them will be something else. I mean, I don't know. Frank, that's the simple answer, but
yeah.
I've also seen people saying, and again, if you're not a developer, I'm definitely not a developer, right? But I've seen people saying, you have to keep UWP around because of Xbox and HoloLens, right? If you want to have people have that cross-platform idea, right?
Right. HoloLens, I mean, again, it's a topic I don't know anything about, but HoloLens, I would imagine, is only UWP.
Yeah.
And then Xbox, I mean, obviously it's because it's a gaming platform. I mean, I don't think that's technically UWP, but there are probably apps for Xbox that are UWP based for sure.
Right.
Because it's very simple to throw a UI together with this kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, look, we're going to be, stuck is the wrong word. We're going to benefit from the rich diversity of app types for the foreseeable future. I know.
Wow. What are you going to have a growth mindset next? Like, what's going on here?
Right. People who are emotionally intelligent, Mary Jo, do these three things.
Okay, good to know.
Now,
every time I think I know Paul,
I've been reading a lot of Medium lately, and it's a lot of self-help stuff. I don't know.
People like you and me, Mary Jo, definitely think of Paul as a developer of a kind. I mean, he writes applications. He's written code. Yes. It's not. He may not be his day job, but he's certainly is a programmer.
I think of him that way.
So I have a background in it for sure.
Yeah, and
no, but it's important to understand. I'm not a professional developer. I don't. But I stay up on it. I try to stay up on it as much as I can.
And I'm a hobbyist. I'm not even as close. I don't even do what Paul does.
That's how I'd say it.
Yeah, I'm a hobbyist developer. But I am very excited about this next story. This is actually really cool.
This is.
That's too bad that you're excited about it, because I wish I understood it.
Okay. Fire when ready.
I'm going to say what I've read about it. Visual Studio Code, the lightweight developer tool that Microsoft has, is now available in a browser. So if you go to vscode.dev, DEV, you get the lighter weight version of VS Code running fully in the browser. So Microsoft announced this on the Visual Studio Code blog today, and they explain a lot of different scenarios why you would want an even lighter weight experience. Well, obviously one is you don't have to install the app because you can just run it in your browser.
I'm running it right now. If you're using GitHub, you load in a project from GitHub, open the project, you can use it. It looks just like VS Code, but it's running in the browser.
You know what?
Really
a weird
cool.
side note to this, no install required is one of the benefits. No install is possible either. This thing is not a PWA. You can't install it.
No. This isn't, to be honest, a huge jump forward because they've offered VS Code as a server for some time. So I actually was going to, and I never got around to it, set up a VS Code server on my machine here so that I could, and the benefit of that is no matter what machine you're on, where you are, you can code even with a Chromebook or something lightweight by logging into your server and using it. And so now you can do it, basically, they're doing it for you, vscode.dev.
Yeah.
I kind of think this is the future of coding for a lot of people.
I do too.
Because the tooling is so important for coders, but you don't need to run it locally.
Right. And their blog posts, they have like, here's going to be your scenario. If you are using most programming languages, it'll be good. Better if you use TypeScript, JavaScript, Python.
Of course.
Right. But best is for JSON, HTML, CSS. So if you're working with those kind of web languages, this will work really well for you. They're saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I didn't see this story until right before the show started, and I was going to add it to the notes, and I saw Mary Jo already had. And I guess one of the big questions I have is, I would use VS Code for like Android app development, and obviously, or maybe not obviously, but I assume that can't work from the web version. This must be not just optimized for web languages, but maybe even
So I just, for instance, tried to install Calvo, which is a nice VS Code extension for Clojure. It says, not available in Visual Studio Code for the web. So I think that it's exactly what they said. There's certain languages that will be better supported than others.
See if you can look for Dart.
Oh, I'm sure Dart and Flutter, right? I'm sure.
Well, that's what I don't know. I mean, Dart. Yeah.
No,
so what about Flutter?
No, you can't.
It says no.
Dart. No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me that it would work. But I mean, if you're a JavaScript person, right? You're doing React or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's artificial, to be honest. I mean, if you go to sites like Replit or our sponsor Codecademy, you can run lots of different languages. Replit has pretty much every language there is right in the browser.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any
in the day,
limitation.
If you were going to be a web dev, you would install like a web server locally.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
You bring up your developer environment. There's all this stuff, And of course, one of the nice things about Visual Studio Code is that stuff. There's a mini little web server kind of built into it. Like you don't need that stuff. But putting it up on the web to me makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
Getting that off of your local box, I think that makes sense.
When we had our website designed, I thought I wanted to follow along with the coding process. So I asked them, okay, tell me what I need to do. And they gave me a 2-page document of what I had to install so I could do this. And it's exactly right. Not just a web server.
You need this exact version of this exact library.
All of these.
Don't get the newer one.
Yeah.
You have to use this one.
Oh, crazy. Build tools, frameworks, just a ton of stuff.
Right.
And I gave up, frankly, after and I said, I'll trust you guys. You know what you're doing. And they did. The last thing they needed was me looking over their shoulder. But this is cool. And I think, what's really going to be useful for students, if you're teaching Python in a classroom, that's the biggest thing, is not everybody has a computer or they might have Chromebooks. How are you going to teach them on a Chromebook? The fact that they can log in and just use it is great. But this is not new. I mean, Google has similar things. There's a lot of ways to do this. But it's nice. VS Code is beloved. So I'm glad to see it on the web. Yeah. Just shows you really can do anything on the web these days. You don't really need
straight.
Yeah. Don't need that Mac M1 Max Pro processor. What the hell do you need that for?
What are you wasting CPU cycles for?
Really? All you need is a smart terminal. A dumb terminal, for that matter.
Yep.
Now let's talk about PWAs.
Yeah, this is not a big thing, but Microsoft just thoroughly updated their documentation for PWAs up on the Microsoft Edge website on docs.microsoft.com For people who have not been following this, PWAs, I think it's fair to say, are on a slow boil. It's like listening to a Pink Floyd album or something. It's going to get to the point eventually. But the technology really has advanced a lot and taking on more and more native capabilities. So I'm reading this. This is what Microsoft wrote, but you can handle local files, URLs, protocols, display content in the title bar, and define app shortcuts, and synchronize data in the background. And that's Leo just said it more simply, you can basically do anything on the web, and that's what PWAs are all about. So if you are a developer or a budding developer or a student developer and you're kind of curious about this technology, definitely check out the docs.microsoft.com and go to the PWA section, which is inside of the Microsoft Edge section.
Edge supports PWAs very nicely, I think.
Yep.
It's funny. It's Edge and Microsoft and Google, and that's it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right.
Here they come. It's Grand Theft Auto 5 in Paul's backyard. No, that's Mary Jo Foley.
It's my backyard. Of course it is.
We don't even have police where I live, Leo. They can't come here.
They don't use sirens. The gentle clip-clop of the police horses is all you need to know.
The steady hum of a lawn care equipment with a siren.
Let's do the Xbox segment, Paul. Hit it.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of stuff happening in the world of Xbox. So as we discussed last week, next month is the 20th anniversary of Xbox. And so they announced some goofy controllers, which we already discussed more substantively, starting, in fact, possibly, next week. To celebrate the 20th anniversary, Microsoft is kicking off like weekly back-to-back blockbuster game launches in Game Pass.
Wow.
And the 3 epic months, they call it. So it starts next week with Age of Empires 4, which is debuting simultaneously on Steam and Xbox Game Pass for PC. Minecraft, this is the Minecraft thing I was talking about. So Minecraft is coming to Xbox Game Pass for PC. I suspect a lot of people are like, wait, it's not there already? No, it's not. So that's coming. Forza Horizon 5 is happening across Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows PCs, and Steam on November 9th. And I think the actual anniversary is, I think it's November 15th, but right after that on November 18th, Flight Simulator Game of the Year Edition. New aircraft, new airports, new discovery flights, tutorials, and if you're on the PC, DirectX 12 support, which I'm surprised that wasn't in there from the beginning, since that's been the current version for about 2,000 years. And then on December 8th, Halo Infinite, obviously, which is launching across Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Game Pass, all versions, right? So every one of those games, day and date on Game Pass, which is amazing. And then there'll be more. It goes off for another 2.5 months after, or 2 months after that, I guess.
And if it's in Game Pass, I can run it on a browser, right? Or is that? Or
no, so that's
I confuse these.
No, that was X. I don't know why. There's so many Xbox something.
Yeah.
So there's something called Xbox Cloud Gaming.
Cloud Gaming.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Cloud.
It was X Cloud. I don't know.
I think it's called Cloud. Yeah, it was X Cloud. That was an easier name. So that is a feature of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. It's not the full Game Pass collection.
See, I have Xbox Ultimate. And so that's why I'm confused. Got it. So these are going to launch on Game Pass. You would download them to your device, and it's not all devices, right? Some of them is Xbox, some of them is PC only, right?
That's right, and some are both. Yeah. So Flight Simulator, for example, is both. Actually, Forza is both. Minecraft is both. Age of Empires is only PC. Halo is.
I kind of want that. I was a big Age of Empires player. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I don't know why you're confused by that, Leo. It's so obvious.
Well, I would like it if I could, if it were xCloud, because then I could play it on my Mac. But
I didn't have this in the notes, but I believe they just crossed an interesting milestone with Xbox Cloud Gaming, which, as I say, that doesn't even sound right to me, but I think that's what it's called, which is that they have 100 games now that have touch controls enabled. So if you're playing it on a mobile device, like a phone or a tablet, it actually overlays touch controls, so you don't even need to control it.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm paying for, to be honest. That's the.
I know. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game Pass, it is the second half of October. As Mary Jo pointed out, we need more October, or running out of October. And Microsoft has announced the remainder of the Xbox Game Pass games, it will release across cloud and console, and I'm sorry, not cloud and console, console and PC, but also cloud, which is that streaming aspect of it, right? So Age of Empires, like I mentioned, Alan Wake's American Nightmares coming, which is kind of a big one. Bassmaster Fishing. I don't understand games that emulate things that are boring. Like there's
I know.
Like a lawnmower simulator.
Yeah, it's so boring.
Yeah, I don't get that. But anyway, that's one of them. So that kind of stuff. So that's nice. That's always good. It gets bigger and bigger every month. That's amazing. So that's good. And then, so this is the Minecraft story. So there are two versions of Minecraft. There is Minecraft Java Edition, which is the original PC version, right? That's the one that works across desktop platforms, but it doesn't offer the crossplay and all that kind of stuff with console and mobile. And then there's the newer version, which is the one we would play on a console or mobile, which is the Bedrock Edition. And that supports crossplay with non-PC players, right? So those two versions are both going to be available in Minecraft for Game Pass for PC, starting on November 2nd.
Oh, that's confusing. So you could play Bedrock or Java.
Yeah, they're actually going to give you both.
Huh.
Well, they still support the Java version, right?
Yeah.
It's
No, I usually
really
play
big
the
in
Java.
schools
I usually play the Java version when I play.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Well, we have a server, so it's not. I'm not playing in Realms or something, so I can't. Bedrock doesn't work for me. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's that.
It's the Caves and Cliffs edition.
Yeah. Right. Minecraft. I mean, I can't keep up with Minecraft. Like there are so many updates,
really
and there are more coming. They announced a bunch of new ones. Yeah.
It's really amazing.
As an older person, I don't understand the seasonal thing with video games, but I'll just run with this one. Halo: The Master Chief Collection came out 3 years ago-ish, something like that. They have been doing seasonal updates, and the final seasonal update, which is season 8, is now available. It's free across whatever. If you bought it, if you get it through Game Pass, you get all of the stuff. 100 new tiers of content, new armor sets, accessories, vehicle skins, on and on it goes. Don't let this lead you to believe that we're going to ignore Halo Master Chief Collection because Halo Infinite is coming. Microsoft is promised there'll be many more updates coming, but this is the last enormous dump of seasonal updates or whatever. I think they stole the seasonal thing from Fortnite, or who did seasons first?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Fortnite. Yeah,
I think it might be Fortnite. We have those in Call of Duty now, and it's like, guys, just release maps. Nobody.
It's DLC though, right? It's all downloadable content, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
so
a game like Fortnite, like a season, sometimes they'll change the map. Right?
Oh yeah,
they'll
everything changes.
Parts of the map. I think that's part of it, but that doesn't happen on Halo, so I don't quite get that. So you may have seen this thing about the Xbox Series X mini fridge. Started as a meme, became a real thing. Went on sale the other day at Target, was sold out in approximately 17 seconds.
I don't know why. It holds like one can of beer.
I know, it's the craziest. It looks awesome. It's really cool looking. But $100. It eventually is going to spread to other retailers and to other countries as well. So I guess the initial release was Target in the US and Canada. It's going to be at multiple retailers globally in December. It's going to go to the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Spain, Netherlands, and Poland. And then they're going to expand availability in 2022. So if you didn't get one, and no one did, it seems, probably mostly scalpers, eventually,
Be kind of cool, I guess. I could store my little macaroons in it or something. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool just to stick it in the corner of the room. It just looks
what would you put in it? Something you want to keep
Monster
cold.
Energy drink or something.
Yeah,
something neon
one
green,
Monster. Yeah.
The Goop that used to be on Nickelodeon.
There you go, Goop.
Yeah.
This one's cool. I like this one.
Yeah. So I
can't believe Cuphead is now a retro game, though.
I thought exactly the same thing. So ID at Xbox is Microsoft's indie game. It's not really a studio, but their indie game program. Amazing. And they're having a sale up to 75% off over 60 retro games. And Cuphead, which is 2 years old, maybe 3.
It's the newest retro game. And it looks retro.
Yeah, things are going retro quick, I guess. Yeah. Was it released on DVD or something? I don't know. So Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Gate 2, Escapist, Pixark, Survivalists, Kingdom 2 Crowns, and many, many more. So, actually, damn it, that sale just ended.
Oh, no.
It happened between last show and this show.
You snooze, you lose.
Sorry about that.
Pay no attention to that man in the booth there. retro indie game.
Yeah, that's
sale
what I was looking. I was just
over.
looking for the date, and I finally found it.
It's over.
Just expired.
I'm sorry.
Well, forget that. You played new games, and you pay full price.
Who wants those old games anyway?
Stupid retro games.
I don't want them anyway. I tell you. Did you ever play Cuphead, Mary Jo? You were all excited when
Nope.
that.
No,
Never?
you guys got me all scared of trying it.
Oh no, you would have.
It's really
you
hard.
would have hated it because it's beautiful and it is so hard.
It would have
to play.
confirmed everything
No.
you don't like
Yeah,
about
it would
it.
have been a
about
really
video
hard
games.
first game to play. Like
No, everybody who talked about it was like, yeah, it's so hard. I was like, yeah, I'm
so
not going
hard.
to try that.
They should make a Cuphead
It looked really
easy
cute.
edition.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
that's
It
what
looks super
I've always
cute.
wanted to make an easy skill level for
Yeah.
it. An actual easy.
It would be
skill
really
level.
nice, right?
Yeah, I just want to
people
play the
wouldn't
game. I
be
just
so
want to see it.
scared. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What? Games should be easy. I mean, okay, they should be a
should be
hardcore mode for
fun.
people who need that.
Right.
People like
They should be
Paul.
fun. That's right.
But they
that's
should
the
be
point.
fun.
You should be able to go into it at whatever skill level you are and still enjoy it.
Yes, I agree.
Simple.
Our show today, we're going to take a break and then come to the back of the book with lots of tips and tricks and all sorts of things, including a beer pick of the week. But first, a word from Barracuda. I love their slogan. Don't pay the ransom. Every 11 seconds, there's a new ransomware attack. What was the latest one? Sinclair TV, the television broadcaster with stations all over the country. They got hit by ransomware. They're taking such a toll on organizations now that the U.S. government is classifying them as terrorism. We're doing treaties, ransomware treaties. According to the 2021 Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report, ransomware has more than doubled this year over last. In its most recent Threat Spotlight research blog post, Barracuda, by the way, if you're not reading this Threat Spotlight blog, you must. It's really good, whether you're a Barracuda customer or not. It's so good. In their recent one, Barracuda identified and analyzed just a subset, a small group, 121 ransomware incidents from August of last year through last July. And they saw a 64% increase in attacks year over year. You've seen the news. Oil pipelines, universities, corporations all paying millions of dollars just to get their data back. Barracuda says don't. Actually, everybody, the Secret Service, everybody says don't pay the ransom. It's easy for the Secret Service to say, the FBI don't pay the ransom. When Barracuda says it, they mean it because you can protect yourself with Barracuda and your company before a ransomware attack occurs. First, attacks start with an innocent-looking email, very often trying to trick people into revealing their usernames and passwords, sometimes looking like they came from the boss, or they know something about you or your company's structure. So you got to train your teams. Barracuda can help with this to recognize an attack and deploy anti-phishing technology. That's what we use to prevent those emails from coming through. Second step is secure your web applications, file sharing services, web forms, e-commerce sites. They're often, in fact, we see it all the time, there are weak points there that hackers are looking for. Once they're in the application, that's the first step to going after your business data. So protect your applications. That's the first line of defense. And then finally, of course, back up your data. It seems simple, but it's so important. Good news is today's backup solutions make it simple and fast to protect archives and back up or restore an entire server or an individual file. Recover your data without paying the ransom. Barracuda says, don't pay the ransom. I say, right on. Build your ransomware protection plan now before they strike. Barracuda can help. Go to barracuda.com/windows. barracuda.com/windows. Lots of good information there to help you in the fight. We're all in this together. barracuda.com/windows. Thank you, Barracuda, for your support of Windows Weekly. Don't forget to use that address so they know you saw it here, barracuda.com/windows. Now, Paul Thurrott, and let's start things off with a tip of the week.
Actually, it's a hardware pick, which may be a first for the show. Although I guess I could contort it into a tip. The tip is you should buy this hardware. So if you're a Mac user, you may be familiar with something called Luna Display, which is a little dongle that lets you use an iPad as a second display. Yeah. So starting with Luna Display 5.0, you can use this as a second display for a Windows PC as well.
Nice.
And the company approached me about a month ago and asked me if I was interested in trying it out. I said, of course, And there were 3 different versions of it. 2 of them work with the PC, USB-C or HDMI. So it's a little red dongle. And I got to say, this works really well. And it's, as I wrote in the notes, it's like, the best external display is the external display you've already have. I travel with a laptop and an iPad every time I travel. So rather than carting around a 15-inch, USB-C external display, you could get this dongle instead, use that display you already have. And like I said, it works great for productivity. I wouldn't game over it or anything like that. But
so now I have an iPad, which I can use as a Windows touchscreen.
That's right. That's the other thing that's cool about it is all that stuff still works. If you have an Apple Pencil, that works. If Touch obviously works. Yeah, that's true too. And that's kind of rare in the external display space, although I actually have a Lenovo that does that kind of stuff, although it's very expensive. Interesting. So it's not inexpensive, although compared to a display, I think it still makes sense. Plus, if you already have the iPad. So it's $129 for the dongle. But I'm going to travel with this. I don't know forever, but this is something I'm actually using. So it works. It works.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've used it on the Mac and the iPad many times. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really
I
nice.
suppose I have to get a new one if I wanted to use it with Windows. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't.
It's just
I think it's a new version
of
the hardware too. Yeah. It's not just the software. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I never used it until now. And the app pick of the week is also curiously Apple focused. Parallels Desktop 17.1. You may recall version 17 came out in August, promising support for Windows 11 and Mac OS Monterey. With 17.1, they're actually delivering the full support there. And that is kind of across the board. It's Monterey as a host, also as a guest. I've been testing it, of course, with Windows 10 on ARM, or I should say Windows 11 on ARM now. And it's too bad that it's not officially supported, but it's not hard to get the download for the ISO from the Insider program. And the thing that's cool about that is you don't really have to see Windows. It has that, I think it's called coherence mode, where you're just running the Windows apps on the Mac desktop. So that's, I think, what most people want. They want that 1 or 2 apps or whatever it is, and they can run those things side by side. And I got to say, whatever anyone thinks about the M1, and it runs Windows 10 or Windows 11 and Windows 10 on ARM amazingly well. Like it's.
Well, you
like
see the M1 Pro and the M1 Max.
I know. Yeah. So that's good stuff. And then I've mentioned Start 11 a few times, I think last week maybe, or the week before, but sometime recently I mentioned the RC1 release of the release candidate release of Start 11. Since then, Stardock has put out release candidate 2. So now they have a full screen menu feature, which is really kind of cool. So if you want to use this start menu on a tablet, you can have it full screen, not as a windowed thing. A bunch of bug fixes, obviously, and that kind of stuff. So I assume the final or the first non-beta release should be out.
Nice.
Pretty soon. And again, $4.99. This is not an expensive product. So
$4.99. Amazing.
Yes, not 400, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not 499.
By the way,
$4.99. So the cost of a latte.
And I will try this. I'll go home and try it. But it looks like after browsing the Luna site, you just have to do the software. That's the update is 5.
Oh, really? So you could actually use the dongle.
So I think my existing dongle.
That's cool. You should give it a shot.
I
was surprised by how well it worked. I expected lots of latency and lag and stuff, but no, it works well.
Yeah. All right, Mary Jo Foley, you're up. Enterprise pick of the week.
Right. So last week was Mark Rusinovich's special virtual event where he was celebrating, I think it's the 25th anniversary of sysinternals. And of course, there was news connected with it. One thing that Mark announced was sysinternals, the whole suite, is now available in the Microsoft Store.
Oh, interesting.
It was not in the store before.
That's great. I can tell people to go to the store and get it. I think that's actually great.
And Mark today tweeted, and if you look at number of downloads, we are right on the heels of TikTok. So maybe
on the heels.
I often put them in the same bucket.
Yeah, if you want sysinternals, you probably also want TikTok.
Sure.
So yeah. He also announced Sysmon for Linux is here. So if you are interested in that tool, he has brought it over to Linux now.
Nice. One of the benefits of WSL.
That out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tweeted to him that, somebody told him I mentioned him on Windows Weekly recently, and he said he would love to be on the show again.
What?
So we got to get him on.
Let's get him on.
One of these days.
I think
soon.
we interviewed him on Security Now at one point.
Yeah. We've had him on Windows Weekly once or twice, I think.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yep.
Let's get him
But he
on.
said he would be honored to come back.
Yeah, he's also a novelist. He's one of those people who's too damn talented.
He is.
I hate those kind of people. Nice.
It's impossible as a man not to be jealous of Mark Russinovich.
Oh, yeah. He's like James Bond,
Yeah.
Men want to be with him, women want to be with him. Russinovich, Mark Russinovich. Enterprise pick number 2, please.
Yes. So Azure Stack Hci 21H2 is out. Okay, I know that sounds boring.
About time, I'll tell you.
No, so we're just saying Windows 10 21H2, where is it? I don't know, but Azure Stack Hci 21H2 is out, guys. You can download it now. So Azure Stack Hci is a product that Microsoft increasingly is pushing, and you're going to hear a lot about this at Ignite in a couple weeks. I think maybe the reason that they haven't been talking up 21H2 being out is they're trying to save that for Ignite. That's my guess. But too bad, it's out. HCI is hyper-converged infrastructure. So what Azure Stack Hci is it's a solution that lets you host virtual Windows and Linux workloads in an on-premises environment and then connect to Azure services in the cloud. So it's kind of a true hybrid product, right? It's very interesting because your apps and your server roles run in VMs, but it's billed and delivered to you as an Azure service. So it really, if you want to talk about a true hybrid product, this is it. If you go to the Microsoft documentation page on Azure Stack Hci, there is a list of what's new in 21H2. There's a handful of features like support for nested virtualization on AMD processors, dynamic CPU compatibility mode, use GPUs with clustered VMs. I mean, what more do you want? You want to go get this right now. You should. I'm joking, but serious. You should go check out the documentation. Talks about what all the features are, why you want them, why you would need them, and if you missed it, there's also the documentation right there for 20H2. They're revving Azure Stack Hci quite frequently, and you probably want to check that out if you're an IT pro who works in hybrid environments.
And you know who you are.
You do.
Yes. And now for the beer pick of the week.
I know. I hate to recommend these fall beers because so many of them are bad. I was talking about it last week. The pumpkin beers, they're not always the best, right? But if you turn one of these fall beers into a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout, how can it be bad? It cannot be bad, right? It's the Fifth Hammer, Long Island City, Queens. A really nice brewery if you're ever in Long Island City, Queens, which you might be, who knows. Scary Spice is the name of it.
She's the 6th Spice Girl.
Awesome.
She is.
Scary Spice. Yeah.
Cinnamon.
I think one of them was
nutmeg.
called Scary Spice.
Was there a Scary Spice?
Right?
Oh,
I think there
okay.
was
I think
a
so.
Scary
I'm
yeah.
an expert in the
I
Spice Girls.
had no idea. Okay.
You know, you're a developer. You're an expert in the Spice Girls. I don't know. We don't even know this guy.
Just saying, the Spice Roll was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Mel B was Scary Spice. You're right. Wow. There was Sporty Spice, Baby Spice, Ginger Spice, Posh Spice, and Scary Spice.
And wasn't one of them on Dancing with the Stars recently? Look at me. I don't even know.
Wow.
Sporty Spice.
You guys are so hip, so with it.
We are just too hip.
Yep.
But I'm
If
not
you need to
positive
know
I'm
anything about
right on
ABBA,
that.
just let me know.
All right, back to Scary Spice.
Oh,
and
yes.
Fifth
Back to the
Hammer,
beer.
though. Back to the beer. 10% because it's a bourbon barrel imperial stout. Those beers are always delicious. They taste like bourbon. You like bourbon, you're going to like these beers. But this one mixes in cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, clove, ginger, vanilla. So it gives you the sweetness with the spice. I think this is way better than these overly fake pumpkin beers if you want to drink a fall-inspired beer. But beware, 10%. You're not going to drink a lot of these. Or if you do, you are going to be Scary Spice. Yeah.
There you have it. Your Halloween beer pick of the week.
Hey, this just
There's
in.
one more week. I could still do one.
Breaking news from Paul Thurrott. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I just, for some reason, I checked the store and there was an update for the the Windows Subsystem for Android. So I got the Amazon App Store to work.
Oh.
I can't. It's weird. It's actually a separate store, and it runs in the VM that is part of the Windows Subsystem for Android. So you actually have to wait for that thing to start up.
Oh, that's weird.
But when it comes up, it's like the Android App Store. It's bright, so apologize for that. And I installed the Kindle app, but I actually can't get it. Maybe it will run now. There it goes. Yeah, it works.
Wow.
Nice. Very nice.
Well,
Success.
I think we have to do the show over now.
Okay, let's start over. Remember I ranted at the beginning? I'm just kidding, guys. I don't know what's going on.
The show is a fly in amber. It's a moment in time frozen forever.
Yep.
And
it's
such as
weird is what this is. But it does work.
So you're running the Kindle app now. Cool.
Yep.
It's in a Hyper-V VM, right? Like just like the Windows Subsystem
that's
for
right.
Linux.
It does
right?
require Hyper-V. Yep.
Even it's weird that the store does. Like the store could be a Windows app, and then the app's launching. But I guess it's easier just to make the whole thing Android.
I mean, just the Kindle app would make a Surface device more usable as a tablet. I mean, there's never been a good Amazon Kindle app.
Yeah,
I know there's apps, but
yeah, I actually use the Kindle app on my Mac and on my iPad a lot.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm surprised there isn't one for. There's the Reader. You can go to reader.amazon.com.
That's true. Cloud Reader. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So, folks, that's that. Go on out and install Android on your Windows machine. Have a good time. Paul Thurrott.
Frankenstein's monster.
Paul Thurrott is found at thurrott.com. That's his blog. You should be a premium member. There's great premium content there. THURROTT.com. He also has the field guide to Windows 10. Windows 11 is coming, but Windows 10 field guide is out at leanpub.com. And keep an eye out for a Windows 11 field guide coming soon. Mary Jo Foley writes about Microsoft on her ZDNet blog, allaboutmicrosoft.com. And together they come here every Wednesday to do Windows Weekly, around about 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. If you want to watch it live, you can. Just go to twit.tv/live. All of our shows, you can watch us produce them live. There's always a live stream going on, even if we're just in reruns. People who watch live often chat live at irc.twit.tv. And as I mentioned, we've got a Club Twit Discord. And if you're a Club Twit member, you can go there. If you want to know more about Club Twit, that's twit.tv/clubtwit. On-demand versions of the show available at the website, twit.tv/WW. You can also get them in your favorite podcast client. If you do that, please leave us a 5-star review. Tell the world about Windows Weekly. Next week, I will not be here. Micah Sargent will be filling in. I'll be flying down to Mexico for the Day of the Dead. I hope you guys have a great Halloween. I want to hear all about your trick-or-treating. And I will be back in 2 weeks for the show. I won't. Why won't I? 3 weeks?
3 weeks? How long are you gone?
Apparently longer than I thought. Yeah, I guess we're flying Wednesday, and I'm getting back, Thursday. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'll say hi to Mike Elgin, because that's where we're going and visiting.
Yeah, please do.
Nice.
And Amira.
Yeah, really can't wait. That's going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, you two, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time on Windows Weekly.
Android is constantly evolving, and if you're part of the Android faithful, then you'll be just as excited about it as I am. I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android, along with my co-hosts Florence Ion and Ron Richards, where every week we cover the news, we cover the hardware, and we cover the apps that are driving the Android ecosystem. Plus, we invite people who are writing about Android, talking about Android, and making Android onto the show. Every Tuesday at twit.tv, look for All About Android.